different charts, so and so, just to make it simple, for everybody who's listening right here, you can go and say, okay, this is consistent regardless of who we play. This is inconsistent because it's determined on the teams. It's not going to, but it's never going to be perfect. And I think I want young coaches to hear that out there, because they might see somebody like yourself doing this and they go like, oh, well, if I do it like Ryan, it's going to be perfect every single time. It's not, right?
Yeah, I think the fact that we conceded 5 goals against New England and 4 goals against Toronto in the last month, I think it's fair to say that it's not always going to be right? So preparation is preparation. And again, you can prepare as much as you want for games, but ultimately, as soon as that whistle goes, the game is going to produce what the game is going to produce. Players just want to go into a game feeling prepared. Now, if we can prepare them in the best way that we can by, like you said, Mike, if we can take a hybrid of, these are the type of actions that we give away, these are the type of actions that we've been seeing over the last number of weeks, and marry that together with, listen, New England Revolution, this is how they attack. These are the types of goals that they've scored. These are the type of attacking actions that they have. If we can find some kind of marriage between those two, now I can design my session for the week and say, do you know what? They deal with a lot of flank balls. We've not dealt with a lot of balls from wide areas, but because that is a key component of their game, now it makes sense to do that. If they're a team that go direct, I'm not going to spend a lot of time during the week working on intricate play at the top of the box, getting strikes away, because you're going to be dealing with big, heavy balls into the box from wide areas or central areas. So it's just trying to make sense of the information you have. Like I said, I like having information, but again, you're going to try and tailor the session towards what your team specifically need and what your goalkeepers specifically need against the team that you're going to be playing against.
I want to bring this up, Ryan, because how are you doing on time right now? Because I know you're a little bit limited because you got to head to some other responsibilities. So
I'm good for another 25 minutes. I'm
okay.
Fine.
Okay, no great. Then let's move on to some match actions, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, for sure.
These are all from FC Cincinnati too. The first one I kind of want to bring up right here. This is from what I gather. I think this is the 64th minute. This is an interesting situation because you have a veteran goalkeeper stepping in for FC2 right now, Evan Loro. And obviously, great experience, in USL, obviously, and in MLS too as well, in the reserve levels and also in the first team. How do you handle, first off, when you have a veteran goalkeeper come down from the first team into this environment, and the coaching aspect of this from the games?
Honestly, he makes it easy.
Okay.
He makes it easy. Evan is a really good pro. He's a really good person, comes with a boatload of experience, and he just wants to play. He wants to be a goalkeeper. He wants to improve. So, yeah, I mean, in answer to your question, Michael, the simple answer is there's no great adjustment that I have to make when Evan comes down. He's a good leader around the place. He cares. He wants to win. He comes with a good mentality. And in our group that has a lot of younger players, he's such an integral part of it and an essential part when we are fortunate enough for him to come and play.
Yeah. So let's go through this play right here. So this is against Columbus 2, I think Crew 2, very recently actually, right? You guys, just
this past weekend.
This is the derby, right? This is the derby. The big rivalry between you two right here. So Fuson dribbles at an angle. Laurel cuts it off at the near post right here. He stays big. The ball's tried to be shot opposite side of the chase. And Laurel was able to get down. Great save. Then Discovery, recognizing where the ball is to make sure that it's not in a dangerous area. Let's take it from the top here. So first off, what's the picture the goalkeeper's seeing here? And what are the consistencies you see in Laurel's game in these types of scenarios?
So it's something that we talk about, and in some of the other clips you'll see it as well. In situations like this, where there is a clear line to the goal, you would quite often see goalkeepers maybe just come rushing off their line. But I think when you've got to take into account that there's pressure on the left side, the player closest to him, Haroun Conte, is getting, while it's not physical pressure on the player, he's getting time pressure on the player, which is a version of pressure, right? It doesn't always have to mean that, there's a slide tackle coming in or he's going to win it. Time pressure can often be enough to alter the striker's success. So if Evan comes rushing off the line, he gives himself less time, and now the finish doesn't need to be as good. All he needs to do is just literally poke it by Evan, and the ball can end up in the middle of the goal. So Evan does a really good job of just coming into line versus down the line when he doesn't need to. the acute angle of the strike means that if Evan just holds good shape there, it's going to take a pretty good finish to come back across, especially with Haroon coming and cutting off that backside. So if Evan just stands and holds good shape, now he can get a good hand on it. He keeps his weight forward. He drives that right hand to the ball. And if you notice his left hand, it joins the party. It doesn't just hang out by itself. It shoots across the body to help take momentum and take all of the body across, as opposed to just having the right arm reach out by itself.
And I think that's actually the reason why he got enough of a touch on that ball to play it into a safe area, because if he had not dragged that left hand across and had just gone with the right hand, that could have been spilled into a dangerous area right there. And then, luckily there was nobody there. Somebody was there to clear it up. Obviously some great organizational play that way, but you never know. And you're better off, trying to be, safe about it. I just think it's so important for young goalkeepers when we talk about consistency is to understand that, if you're consistent with your shoot of being able to get all of your momentum and all of your arms into it, you're going to be better off in the long run.
Yeah, so we talk about. I mean, Paul is a real technician when it comes to goalkeeping. So we talk about shape, we talk about catching the ball. These skills and arts in goalkeeping that seem to be lost in terms of just wanting to actually catch the ball. So Evan's shape right on the strike. He's got his shoulders and hands in front of the knees. He's nice and balanced on his feet that even if Fuson was to zip it into the near post pocket, Evan's still light enough on his feet that he can use his left foot to cover that pocket. Even if it comes across his body low on the floor, his right foot is still engaged enough, but light enough that he can now kick his right foot out to make that save as well. His hands are out in front of the body line. So now he gives himself room to operate with hands as opposed to being behind, where now he's going to be forced to go with one. The fact that his hands are out in front of the hip line means that left hand can shoot across. Not necessarily that it's going to be a two-handed save, but it's enough to allow the back shoulder to attack it, to send that heavy part of my body over into line with the ball and stay strong. Again, his eyes follow the ball as well. It's a good save.
See, I think you just brought up a really good point right there, Ryan, because I hear so many young goalkeepers go, yeah, but I only was able to get one hand over to the blah 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 to the ball. Why would I have the other hand go across? And you just have to explain body shape and momentum, and that yes, not every save you're going to get two hands to the ball. However, making sure that you have that trailing arm is going to allow your momentum so that you can make that save with the outside arm.
Yeah, for sure. You see it all the time, right? People just want to go one armed for a save, but if I'm diving out to my left hand side and my right arm just stays behind, I have less reach. And then if you think about that right arm just kind of doing that windmill over the top, again, it's slowing me down, if anything. So Paul references it all the time. Is his reference to that backhand attacking would be shooting it under the chin. My reference to it would be attacking the ball with your back shoulder, to make sure that everything is coming across into line with the ball. Even if I'm only going with one, I can go 2-1. It's a lot easier to go 2-1 as against 1 to then 2, realizing, oh, all of a sudden I can catch it. Now you won't catch it.
Yeah, I want to move on to this clip right here because I think there's another really good clip, and also it's visually appealing because of the camera angle. So shout out to whoever shot this, whichever broadcast did this. Shout out to you because you did a great job. Sometimes with these reserve teams or second teams, as you like to call them as well too, the camera angles can be a little bit let's just say not the best, not the best. Sometimes it's a stadium camera, way up high in a giant stadium like Gillette Stadium or something like that. And you're like, I don't know what to do with this. I think that's a soccer game. Not exactly sure. So let's go to this. So this is against, what's the name of the Crown Legacy?
Crown Legacy. Yeah.
Crown Legacy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, I didn't know this. So there's some independent teams in MLS Next Pro as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. So
okay.
Crown Legacy are the second team for Charlotte, obviously, and there's a couple of others as well. But again, they train the same facility. They're still basically just the second team. It's more of a marketing idea, like Nashville have as well. So I think it's a way to be able to get additional sponsorship and to try and attract a different fan base, I suppose.
Gotcha. So it's not like you guys just did a scrimmage against like a local men's league team or anything like that. So this is
no. This was out in Charlotte. It was actually a lovely facility. They've done a really, really good job. So this was one of our early games in the season, and Crown Legacy are a good side. They're sitting top of the league, and they beat us here on the day 2-1.
Hey, Susk.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Memorial Day.
You're not supposed to say that.
Oh, well, oops, sorry.
No, you're not. You're supposed to say, like
What is the proper
thoughts,
term?
like thoughts to you,
Thoughts and
on
prayers.
this, thoughts to you on this Memorial Day and everything like that.
Gotcha.
Just a little tidbit for you.
Well,
there.
you should tell a lot of advertisers out there.
No, they said it like "Good Morning America." I got like a memo for broadcasting about it. Everything.
That's good. Good to
But
know.
I have
Good to
my
know.
USA hat on and representing.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, always good to start off live on the air with.
I know you're the only person that didn't realize it was Memorial Day, I think, and scheduled a podcast.
Probably. So hope I will I'll hit up Dayne in the next couple of minutes if he does not come on and say just a reminder.
Yeah, he's probably like at a barbecue. All right.
Well, he's Canadian. He's Canadian though. But do they have a Memorial Day there? That'll be something we'll have to
they
ask.
have similar holidays to us. Like
Okay.
they have like not the 4th of July, but a 4th of July. They have like All Canada Day or something like that. I'm probably gonna get blasted on the thing right now. They have like a Thanksgiving type of holiday.
Dayne, we're discussing Canadian
he'll know
holidays.
better. He'll know better.
You'll know better, dude. What's up, dude? How are you, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. Thanks for doing this on Memorial Day, as Saskia was pointing out. Today's kind of a day for people to hang out on their day off. So, oh man. All right. Well, let's just get this going here. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, with her USA hat on, 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber. And joining us for a very special Memorial Day Inside the 18, we have the one and only Dayne St. Clair of the Canadian men's national team and Minnesota United. So we're learning a lot about everybody's holidays today.
I told them Canadians have similar type holidays. You have like some kind of like, I think it's like a Thanksgiving or something. You have like a 4th of July type of holiday. I was like, I can sing your national anthem because I've heard it so many times.
We have.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we have Thanksgiving. It's just like a month earlier. And then we have Canada Day, which is a couple days before 4th of July, and then we have like Remembrance Day as well, which is kind of like our Memorial Day.
So you got, I don't want to say they're like knockoff of the American holidays, but they sound very, very similar. Boy, I am just going to get canceled by all of the Canadian.
Yes, you are, because they're celebrating their own country, so they're not a knockoff.
Oh my gosh! Well, this is what if Dayne just left right now?
I know. He's like, bye.
Oh my gosh. Well, Dayne, obviously, thanks for coming back on the show, man. I know it's been a couple of years, but you've had kind of a whirlwind last couple of years. So why don't you catch up some of the audience on kind of what's been going on with you a lot? Oh, are you frozen?
I think he froze.
Yep.
He's mad at you. There you go.
Sorry,
he was mad at me. He literally disconnected because of the Canada comments. All right, we'll try that again and see if you hear this. So Dayne, obviously, thanks for coming back on the show, man. It's been a couple of years, but you've had kind of a whirlwind last couple of years. So why don't you catch everybody up on what's been going on with you?
Yeah, I think probably the last time was kind of when we were making that playoff push when I kind of first started playing back in 2019 with Minnesota, and then 2020 didn't really go the way I wanted to. Started off playing, and then the team didn't start off too well, and I kind of fell on the sword for the team, and they decided to switch my position, and then 2021 I get mixed up with all these like the years of everything.
Dude, it's all a whirlwind. That's what happens, Saskia, when you go to World Cups. Everything just kind of becomes a blur.
So the first part was 2020, then that was 2021, and then last year, kind of the opposite happened to me, where I kind of got an opportunity because our goalie was sick, and then kind of never looked back from it, and
Nice.
was able to make the All-Star team, to go to the World Cup. Definitely some big personal and team achievements.
I mean, that's phenomenal. And Saskia, we've always talked about this. You talk about this in NWSL all the time in regards to the fact that, hey, anything can happen. Anybody can grab their opportunity, and they're not 2s, they're 1.5s, as you always say.
1.5s. Yeah. You never know. You always want to be ready and prepared, and never, you can get traded and you can find a better home somewhere else and end up on a World Cup team. So you never know. You just have to always be ready.
Yeah, as we're waiting for Dayne's connection to come right back on here, I think, one of the really cool things, in regards to this is there's so many stories but they're
so
goalkeepers.
Similar.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
rarely do you find a goalkeeper that doesn't have a story where they, were the backup or came in new to a team or moved to another team and got the nod and never looked back. I mean, you can even look at take Brianna Scurry, right? In college, she came in, Sky Eddy was the starting at UMass, and Bri came in, and took the spot eventually from her and never looked back and never looked back. So I think, and same with the U.S. national team. So I think, I don't know a single goalkeeper doesn't have a story. That's just I was the best, and I was always the best, and I started every gameplay, every team I was on, and I just sailed right through. Michael Jordan doesn't even have that story.
Dayne, would you agree with that? Oh, is he frozen?
Yeah, he's got a bad connection.
You're kind of coming a little in. You're kind of coming a little in and out. Did you switch from a computer to a phone? Yeah, you're frozen.
My iPad was going trouble. Okay?
Maybe he has to switch over.
Do you have a laptop? Do you have a computer by any chance?
Yeah, I can try to. I'll go get that and then switch to that. Yeah, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
No worries.
Yeah. No stress, man.
No all worries. Good. People are out getting a hot dog or a hamburger anyway. It's a barbecue.
Exactly.
No, exactly. But seriously, Mike, think about it. If we I name a goalkeeper, or I'd ask anybody out there that's barbecuing and listening to us on giant speakers right now, name a goalkeeper. Come to me with a goalkeeper that since they were in the system and really moving forward in their career, that they didn't have a hiccup, that they didn't, they weren't the backup, and just shot right to the top. Even for me, when I started, I came in and I did have a big shotgun, from club into ODP and next thing I know, within a year I was on the national team and stuff, but I wasn't starting, and so I think that every goalkeeper, especially in that position, because you're not playing that often. So
exactly. And I think, this is just in regards to the conversation of why it is so important to get repetitions. And we'll talk about it when Dayne comes back, because he did spend some time in the lower divisions getting reps, as opposed to just sitting there on the bench at Minnesota United. It's just so important to get those game actions once you get to that professional level. It's one thing to be playing in college. It's another thing to be getting those professional reps.
Yeah, but even if we look at Kaylin Sheridan, she wasn't always a starter. Fallon Tullis-Joyce wasn't always a starter. So you look at some of the top goalkeepers in the NWSL, and quite arguably the 2 top goalkeepers in the NWSL right now, they all have stories.
Yeah.
So does Didi. They all have stories behind them of how they ended up where they are, and now they're thriving, but it wasn't always like that.
And I think, and by the way, shout out to all the goalkeepers in NWSL who've been doing a great.
Clair, who just reached 500 saves. So
congrats to that.
And what an amazing save it was to reach the 500. But now she's the most has the most saves in history in the NWSL.
Well, what about Kaylin's performance this past weekend for St.
Kaylin's playing hands down amazing. She's having another great year. Canada's got to be so excited going into the World Cup about how well she's playing. And we talked about, Nair, although yes, they've let up a lot of goals, she's still playing well. And, talking to like Petroselli about her and stuff, he's like, she's doing everything we could ever ask her to do on and off the field as a leader and it's not her. For Chicago, they did get the win this past week. Look, I'm like, basically I'm on my on Paramount Plus right now.
No, I know exactly.
And then,
guys, this is going to be the preview of the
Saskia
Weber show on Paramount Plus.
No, we're actually going to talk about this on Wednesday, so it's a practice. And then you look at Fallon, you look at Didi, like the goalkeepers aren't making mistakes. They're some of these goals are absolutely incredible that are getting scored. And it's actually nice to see. It's not like mental mistakes. It's not tactical or technical mistakes by the goalkeepers. They're getting great goals scored on.
I mean, and I think that's just a testament just to the quality of the league. And I think, this was something that was brought up actually on last week's podcast with Ryan Coulter from FC Cincinnati, in the fact that like, goalkeepers, young goalkeepers especially out there, have to accept the fact that goals are going to be scored on. All you can do, the number one thing for you to focus on is eliminating the immediate threat. Because if you're focused on trying to stop everything from happening,
it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
No, and it's never, and random things are going to happen. Like, look at AD when she dove near post, it hit off the post, and hit her in the back of the head. Like, and even Nair on the PK the other week, and she covered it, hit the post, hit her in the back of the head. So I'm just bringing those up as things are going to happen. Just if you keep the simple things simple and do those jobs. If somebody beats you with a banger in the upper 90, they beat you with a banger in the upper 90.
And I think, in regards to that as well, too, that's just the recognizing that, and you bring this up all the time, that if you're so focused on like the back post runner that you're not even focused on the ball literally in front of you. And so many young goalkeepers do that. They're like, well, my coach told me I always got to make sure I got to check on the back post.
Got to watch the near post. But the whole point of those target players is to draw your attention, and there's no reason to draw your attention. Let them run to the near post. You have a player to mark them. Your only job on a restart or a corner kick is the ball at that point. Everybody else is organized. They have to do their jobs. Now your job is on ball, and that's it. So don't get jostled by the peripheral. And we see it all the time. You see, and you know how technical I am. You see that one little jerk forward.
Yep.
Because Caprice Asco comes running out of your left side of your eye line to a corner kick, and you kind of get drawn to go with her, and that's all it takes.
Yep.
And now you're off kilter, and you can't get to the ball if it comes far post and everything. So
I actually never even thought about that sometimes these runs are actually tactical decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
They're there to distract you. They're there to the players that are in front of you. They're just there to draw your attention away from. And if you can kind of drown out the noise and say, all right, jump up and down in front of me all you want, but sometimes we see goalkeepers and they'll shove the person. The minute you push the person away from you, now they won, because now that split second it took to do that, now you're off your timing to come and get the cross. Get back into position, everything. You're a split second behind. So those are tactical runs to draw your peripheral and to draw your thought process away from the task at hand.
Man, you've made my head explode once again, Saskia Weber. I am now going to, because that's something I never even,
well, you have to
never
watch. So when
Man.
you look, because when I sit and I watch restarts and corner kicks, first of all, I think right now the best best corner kicks there are to take are driven balls near post. I mean, Emsley scored on one, but like driven balls near post, because it's so difficult for the goalkeeper. You have a person on the near post, you have runners going to the near post. The time it takes for the ball to get into that zone right around that area, head height, it's incredibly difficult for you to come, because you do have to take a short millisecond pause to see where the ball is going to go. So now you're kind of behind the driven ball as it is. And all it takes is a flick, right? So all it takes is that to get past you, or to get into the mix, or a dummy to go by you. And so when you see people take those corner kicks and they float up in the air, if I was a goalkeeper, I'd be like, awesome. Like, thanks. That's great. And then again, if you look at Emsley's goal this past weekend, I mean, she didn't mean to do it. She actually said, and I was like, Emsley, don't ever, for Angel City, don't ever admit that. But that against Portland, against OL Reign, I mean, she tucked it in the upper 90 near post from the corner on a driven ball. So, but all those things are distractions. Just focus as a goalkeeper, just focus on that. You have to look at that like it's a shot, period. The corner kick's a free kick, it's a shot.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point, because I think one of the things that happens so many times, especially with young goalkeepers, is, and this will kind of come into the conversation when we get into our topic about attacking and meeting, which is something that we've been discussing quite a bit. Let's see if our special guest is back here.
Hey,
hey, we got him back.
Sorry
we
about
got
that.
him back. Oh, all good, man. All good. We were actually just discussing in regards to the fact that, like, and maybe you can shed some light on this. Saskia brought up something I never even thought about, is that when so many young goalkeepers are focused on like a back post runner or something that's not the immediate threat, that they forget about the immediate threat, like the chase on the ball, the specific, ball line, all those sorts of things. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, I think definitely it's easy to start organizing. I think especially you notice it in games like small-sided. I think the most you're trying to organize so much in front of you that you forget
in the back
that,
of the net.
Yeah, exactly.
I say that all the time. Like when I was at UCLA, and I'd be like, okay, Hannah, you're over organizing. Go pick the ball out of the back of the net, because they shot it and you're still trying to organize your back post.
I mean, I think that's such a great way for us to segue into this topic.
Sorry,
here,
Hannah,
Dayne.
I love you.
So let's hop right into it, and then throughout the conversation, we can also talk about your World Cup experience and all that stuff, because I'm sure that's something that a lot of people want to hear about. Was just first off, by the way, Grant, congratulations from being a 1.5, as Saskia likes to say, to an MLS All-Star, to the World Cup in Qatar. I mean, like, that is just. Canada's in good hands, Saskia, on the men and women's side. Really, honestly.
They are. They are. I always root for Canada. Always. I do. I always root for Canada unless they're playing us.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
So let's get a little bit into today's topic, which is attacking and meeting the ball, meet and attack. This is a conversation that we've been having a lot on the Union platform. So a lot of you guys, thank you for been engaging on the Union platform. Some of the clips that some people have been sharing, and some of the conversations we've been having in regards to making sure that you don't wait, for the ball, but you come and attack and you meet the ball. So, Dayne, what do we mean by like attack and meet the ball?
Yeah, I think if you think about it in terms, it can be applied to anything. But I think even if you think about it in terms of crossing, can you get to the ball at the highest point, the earliest spot? You know what I mean? I think 1v1s, can you beat the defender, the attacker there on a 50-50? Yeah, I think it can be applied to many things. It's a broad term, but it's kind of just about getting to the ball first or as quickly and as early as you can, I think, is the way I interpret it.
I mean, I love what you just said in regards to it's a broad term, because Saskia, this is a conversation that we've had in regards to sometimes people will be so general with direction, and young goalkeepers, because they take things so literally, they'll hear like attack and meet, shooting on a ball and like attack and meet that ball. and then they go, oh, but that's when you do it. You do it here or whatever, as opposed to kind of understanding different scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like, I love the scenarios that Dayne brought up. I mean, yes, actually attacking the ball means on a cross or service, getting it at the highest point. You have to do that, because nowadays you have players that are jumping higher than, if you're not meeting at the highest point, you're going to get into a problem, because their vertical is, if you're jumping, if you get there late and you're jumping up in a crowd and not with the right momentum and everything, they can head it through you. And so, yes, attack, meet at the highest point. Are you beating that through ball? It's a 50-50 ball. Are you getting there first, or are you hesitating and now you're a split second behind? So now you've made a mess of it because you're a split second behind. So now you have to come out and do a block, or you just get beat. As opposed to, had I been like kind of proactive in that and reading the play and getting my jump, now I'm on a 50-50 ball. So I'm smothering it at their feet, or I'm beating them to it and I'm collecting it. And so getting to the ball first saves a lot of headaches. Basically, a lot of headaches.
Exactly. And Dayne, feel free to step in anytime. Like, you don't need to wait for us to ask you a question,
Yeah,
but like,
sure.
I do want to ask you in regards to like, why do you think so many young goalkeepers have difficulty like shooting forward at a ball rather than, a lot of time they're just so passive in those moments?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to starting position. I think if your weight's going backwards, or you're on your heels and you're not on your toes, it's going to be hard to get forward and to create that momentum. And then I think the other one is just seeing the ball early and having the confidence that even if it's a hard shot that you can go get there. I think sometimes we lean backwards or react late to give ourselves that extra split second, but in a lot of times it can be too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. I definitely think it's starting position as well. Great point. I also think it's like it's reading the game. It's understanding the game and what's going on. Like you can't be reactive. You have to be proactive. If you're not reading the game and you're on your heels, like you said, Dayne, and all of a sudden the ball gets played through, that split second that you were on your heels, or that you were like, oh, here comes the ball, I should go, you're already too late.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you just said there in regards to the starting position, Dayne, because like, I'm just thinking about a lot of young goalkeepers that, because they're out of position, that's where they're timing. And I don't mean out of position as in like they're all the way over on the back post and the shots hit to the near post. I mean, just slightly off ball line. Is that one of those rhetorical questions?
Sometimes Mike.
It is one of those rhetorical questions.
But I think Dayne froze again.
Did he freeze?
Yeah.
Did Dayne freeze? He did freeze. Okay. All right. Well, it serves us right for doing a podcast on a holiday. So
it does. And Canada's mad at us. So
Canada's definitely mad at us.
I'm so sorry about this connection. I feel like this never happens. And then of course today is.
Don't worry about
when
it.
it's just going in and out. So I apologize to any of the live viewers that are seeing me pop in and out.
No, I'm telling you, Canada's mad at you, Mike. Something's messing with the server.
I mean, look. I mean, here's the deal, Dayne. Like, yes, it's a special podcast on Memorial Day. It's also the fact that like it's your day off right now, and Saskia also has to head out to North Carolina to help coach the U.S. women's team in the soccer tournament against Borussia Dortmund and Wrexham and all these other crazy teams.
That's our game on. That's our game Thursday night.
Thursday night is Wrexham? Wow.
If I'm correct.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting. I love it though. It's actually for all of us, it's a reunion, so it's all.
I mean, hey, at least you said you weren't going to play in goal, but hey, anything's possible. You should still bring those gloves.
Stop.
You should still bring those gloves.
I can't find a pair. I just dusted off my cleats again, so. Yeah.
Oh my God. So Dayne, so you were bringing up starting position, and I was just thinking about the fact that a lot of times when a young goalkeeper hears, you're out of position, they think out of position means like they're over on the back post and the shot's being hit to the near post. But out of position can just be slightly outside of ball line, like you're slightly this direction and the ball bends this way. Did he freeze
again? No, he didn't freeze. It's a rhetorical question. I keep telling you that. He froze again.
God. He did freeze again.
He did freeze again. So
this is a blooper episode.
This is going downhill fast, Mike.
This is amazing.
I don't know. Just go on to a new question, Mike.
All right, let's move on.
I got the question.
Okay.
It's actually funny enough. It was something that me, the goalie coach, and Fred Emmings were talking about recently. He's one of our homegrowns that has been playing with the second team this year and kind of figuring it out and getting his minutes there. But we talked about it. A lot of times your starting position can kind of dictate what you can and can't do from that position, whether it's going to get a cross. You can say, oh, I should have got that cross, but your starting position might not have allowed you to even get to that cross to begin with. So I think like you said, it can be slight adjustments that can go a long way and kind of help you make decisions for you or quicker.
And I like what you just said right there too. And Saskia, in regards to like the decisions, I think one of the reasons that a lot of young goalkeepers, and tell me if you agree with this, the reason that they have problems attacking the ball is because they don't deal with a moment based on the moment. They deal with the moment based on concept of what they think is going to happen. And as you said, the game moves faster. Once the game moves faster, you don't have the time to do that.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's repetition for young goalkeepers and getting confident and seeing the situations. And because you can tell them, okay, you're in this position, you're here, you should come for the ball in this situation. But it's got to be repetition and comfortability, because the minute they question themselves, they're out of position. They don't go for the ball. They don't meet it. Then you have the young kids that say, oh, it's supposed to go, so I'm going to go now. Now you're late and everything. So honestly, with young kids, it's just confidence through repetition and seeing the situations, making your mistakes, not coming and getting scored on, coming and having success. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you go. I mean, even for me playing pro, when I was in New York, like every single practice the team would be cooling down, and we would just take crosses. And I come back to crosses because I don't think young kids see them enough because their teammates can't hit them. It's true. So we would just crossing scenarios. You know what I mean? And so I think that even at an elite level, it's still something you do repetition wise to get that timing down, to get the different visions of it down.
Dayne, in regards to that, like I'm just assuming, I mean, first off, that's something that's really massive in your game and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on for this topic here, is because you do a really good job of recognizing the immediate danger in those scenarios, deciding when to retreat, when to attack, in a crossing situation. And, I think that one of the problems is, and tell me if you agree with this, a lot of young kids see crosses, but they don't see crosses, actual game crosses. They see the concept of a cross.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way the attackers are now, they're whipping in the ball so much too. We talk about it a lot in Minnesota too. It's like they're whipping it as hard as a shot sometimes. And like, even if you punch the ball, you don't need to make a lot of contact with it. The ball will hit off your hand and go the distance just because of how hard these balls are getting whipped in now. So it's like you very rarely need to go and actually wind up a punch to like get a lot of distance on it. If you get good contact on it, it'll go far by itself almost.
Yeah, we were talking that when you were off for a second, and I was saying that it's such a different time now. Like you're not floating a ball in, and if you do as a goalkeeper, you're like, sweet, thanks. I'm just gonna come and collect that. And if for some reason it's too far out, like who's gonna get like a really serious header on it if I just drop in? But the balls that are getting whipped in now, it's a whole different scenario, and the timing on that and knowing when to come, it's a shot. And it's a shot that's getting redirected and it's the same for the field players. All it takes is like a glance and it's on goal. And so, those scenarios are totally different. And it's something that is hard to deal with, and the timing of when to come and how to meet that and how to get a hand on it. It's totally different now and needs to be trained hardcore.
And you brought up such a great point, Dayne, in regards to that the balls are coming in so fast that if you try to put too much momentum into it, you're actually doing yourself a disservice rather than helping yourself. And like I've recognized a lot of times if a ball is coming in with a lot of pace and I try to go for that ball with power, well, by the time it actually makes contact with me, I'm now going negative because my momentum is now taking it negative, as opposed to if I just guided the ball, I'd be in a better situation.
Yeah, just redirect it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's do this here because while we still have good Wi-Fi right here, let's bring out some of these breakdowns of some of these actions here because I'm really excited about this. I want to show a lot of these different actions right here. So can we see this here? Oh no, this is not it. This is the last podcast. This is not what. Okay,
Mike, you're just having a nightmare.
It's one of those. It's one of those days. Oh, there you guys are. Okay, there we go. Thank God. Okay, all right. Let's get this going here. So this is in the 37th minute against St. Louis. Wow, St. Louis! Shout out to you guys having such a great expansion year. Pretty
no
insane.
joke.
Like unreal. So what happens here is Edward Leuven cuts inside the 18, and then he just hits a laser towards you, Dayne, towards the back post. You recognize that fly, great lateral footwork, great push off, and you attack and meet it to steer that ball away. So let's break it down. So first off, what do you see right here?
You're not.
Dayne, can you hear me? Oh,
I think he froze.
did he freeze?
Yeah.
All right, Saskia, what do you see right here then?
All right. Well, first of all, I see a great positioning, period, hands down. So if you're looking up at Dayne the entire time, his positioning's on point, and he's just using micro movements to reset himself. So how'd you say Ten's name?
Edward Leuven, right?
Leuven. So when
Leuven.
Leuven cuts inside, Dayne doesn't have to make much of an adjustment. So he cuts in here. So it's just a simple micro movement, but still his body weight's still forward and everything. So even though Leuven thinks he's got that bend in the far post, he absolutely doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing for me was, I mean, obviously players can whip it back to the first post, but if I look where my defender is, I'm going to kind of trust in him that he can stop that ball from going to the first post. So it allows me to take kind of that half step before and kind of anticipate based on the defender that he's going to try to kind of wrap it around him. And I feel like a lot of days attackers love cutting in and bending the ball to the top corner because everyone wants to score that worldie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's funny. Like we don't it's so much fun as a goalkeeper, and you guys can know this, is when you do read the player so well that you get that jump. You know what I mean? That it's like the best feeling, like you don't want to always over anticipate and assume, because you could get caught if he cut back and went to the near post and let's say it went through your player's legs. But at the same time, if you've set up your defense and the situation, you're like, go ahead, bend it. I'm waiting for it. It's like the best feeling.
What I love about this right here, Dayne, is that look at your body shape. And I want a lot of young goalkeepers to see this, because a lot of young goalkeepers in this situation, if a ball's bending away from them, they start bending away towards the ball, but you're attacking the ball because you're basically trying to make contact with it in its flight as opposed to its final destination. And I think that's just why it's such a high level save right there.
Well, look at his power step. So he's attacking the ball, not going flat. So you have a lot of goalkeepers that if you, in this situation, if one of his set positions was to get deeper, he might get beat. Number two, I'm not saying he would have gotten beat, but other goalkeepers.
For sure.
But if you look at his power step right there, it's attacking. So it's cutting the angle off at a better angle, which allows him to get this at a better angle. I know, Mike, I know it's me being very technical.
No, but I love it. But I also want to just talk about the fact that, like, also Dayne, like, is this a conscious decision on you? Is that the trailing hand is also following through, because a lot of young goalkeepers, you know, not throwing, go with one, and then they lock that arm.
I think anytime you can go with two, it's definitely a lot easier. You give yourself a bigger surface area to block the ball first and foremost. You get the opportunity to potentially hold it based on the ball. You have that decision. And then I think, yeah, just the power in having two hands there to be able to push the ball wide. I think if it's close enough, I think you can always go with two and end with one, is kind of the way that we kind of talk about it.
And that's 100%. And I tell my younger goalkeepers, like, if you automatically go with one, I look at your other arm like an anchor that's like dragging in the water. So you're losing that momentum, that power, that two hands to the ball through your whole core can give you. And if you end up going with one at the end, fine. But if you automatically go, this little anchor over here is just trailing, you know, and I don't think you get the momentum you need to actually either power through it, hold on to it, or anything.
Yeah, I think especially with bouncing balls, like I look back to the SKC game, they score off the corner kick, the ball bounces, and the way they wet our fields, you're expecting it to skip, but it took kind of like a hard bounce and bounced straight up, and I went with one, so it bounced over my hand. But I'm like in a situation, like looking back at it, being hypercritical, if I potentially could have got two hands there, it could have potentially been a save.
You know, one thing I want to bring up right here, Dayne, which I really love too, is the simple fact is that, like, you're attacking with your body as opposed to just your hands. And I think a lot of young goalkeepers, they just throw their hands out, but then their body's locked and they think they're doing the job because they're shooting their hands at the ball.
Yeah, I think kind of we talk about is attacking with your head. Your head normally will take your body with the rest of it. You know what I mean? So I think anytime you can get whether it's your head behind the ball or drive with your head, the rest of your body will follow.
Yeah, Tony used to always say, save through your chest. Like, it's just that core. Don't just shoot your hand. So agreed.
I think also you shooting that head is why you're able to track that ball even after you played into a safe area. You recognize where that ball is, because if you hadn't shot with your head, let's say, you lose sight of the ball, and now it's big scramble. You never know. Let's move into a crossing situation now here. This is, I think, a corner kick right here, again against St. Louis. 22nd minute. This corner kick kind of comes in. It's in swinging into traffic. You attack it, you meet it, and then again, play it into a great safe space. This is what you're talking about, letting the ball do the work, right?
Exactly. You kind of, especially with these ones, you can kind of just almost like guide them on.
Boom. I love that. I love that context. Suska, anything you see here?
No, and it's also the timing, because he's going through the ball as it's coming to the point that he can make contact with it. This ball is like out for throwing, probably, I think, you know, and you're letting the ball do the work. If you mistime this and you don't meet it at its highest point, your momentum's not going through the ball, your momentum's meeting the ball, then you're not going to get the power through it. So it's just that timing and that attack on the ball that gives you, it goes for a corner, but that attack that gives you the momentum to propel the ball out of danger.
I'm looking at the way you're coming at this ball, Dayne. Are you coming straight on at this ball, or are you coming at an angle at this ball?
Kind of side on.
I think it's kind of side on, just because of the amount of traffic that is in front of you there. So I think that's the other thing too. I think with the traffic in front of you, kind of can determine your path to the ball, and there's not necessarily a right way or wrong way to it in times like this, as long as you get to the ball.
Yeah.
So we got a question in here from the audience, and shout out to all of you guys who are watching on Memorial Day right here. This comes from Chris Sealwich, and he goes, "How long did it take to adjust to decision making / timing / movement when you leveled up from youth to college? Go Terps!" So maybe there's a Maryland fan right here. To MLS to national team.
I think the biggest one for me was to college. I think, like, the style of play that we played in Canada, at my club team, I mean, we were one of the best teams in the country, and our coaches coaching at Halifax, but it was very possession based football. So I didn't have to deal with a lot of crosses and stuff like that. And then I went to the Big Ten, where it was, you play against Wisconsin, Northwestern, that's all they're going to try to do is put the ball in the box. So I think that was kind of when I had to take the biggest jump. And then, of course, with MLS and national team, I think the decisions, the balls are just getting whipped in faster. It's still the same kind of mindset, but you're just dealing with better quality of service now.
I mean, I think you brought up a really good point right there in regards to, and Seska, I know you've coached at all the levels, from the youth level all the way to the highest levels. Would you agree that kind of that jump from youth to college really is the biggest one?
Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I think depending on also where you go, it could be your jump. Nowadays, it could be your jump from college to pro or to the national team on the women's side. Depending on what school you're playing at, what if you're in the Pac-12, if you're like where you're at as well in the competition you're playing against. But yeah, I think it's always a major jump, even if you're playing on like one of the best ECNL teams, to jump up to play for UCLA or something and against a Stanford or, against a Santa Clair. Like the speed's going to be different. The services, the tactics are going to be different and a lot faster. So I would agree. I think that's usually the biggest jump.
And I think, one of these things, Dayne, I'm just thinking about it right now in regards to like any young listeners who are watching the show right now, is that like for the first time in their lives, you're coming in as a college freshman into the collegiate environment. And now, nowadays with COVID years and stuff like that, you're 25-year-olds out there that you're going up against. So that physicality.
I also think for me, growing up in Canada, I didn't know much about the college game. I knew a little bit, but like nowadays with you can watch so many professional games and know about the league and all those things. But I think for me, growing up in Canada, I didn't necessarily always know that I was going to go to college. So even having access to watch some of those games were tough growing up.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. If you haven't been exposed to it, you don't know. So it's all going to be a learning process. Last thing I want to say kind of with this cross right here, though, that I really love about it is that you stay on your feet and it's a very simple redirection. I think a lot of young goalkeepers, they go airborne in this situation, not recognizing the fact that like they lose control if they go airborne. Like they're not going to be able to really, like, what if this is a second ball situation? Now you're right there. You can get set for that near post.
Exactly. And I think it's just being conscious of that. Of course, there's going to be times where you're going to have to lay it all out there. But I think in situations where you can stay on your feet in crossing situations, I mean, too, in terms of health, there's so many bodies around you. You're landing on someone's foot or to hurt yourself or potentially hurt someone else as well.
That's a really good point. Seska, I didn't even think about that, but when I see a lot of these young goalkeepers,
leave late, arrive early, jump through. That's what Tony used to always said. So you take that quick pause. You see where the ball is going to go. You get the right line to it. So you leave late, technically a split second late. So you get the right line to the ball. You arrive early and at the highest point, but you let your momentum carry you through. So you carry yourself through the traffic. So you're not going, you want to avoid going straight up in traffic, period. Like you're never going to get the right momentum. You're never going to be catching, like it makes it more difficult on you. So if you can go through traffic and allow your momentum to carry you through it, it's the best scenario.
By the way, I love just the behavior afterwards, Dayne, from you. Just like, no big deal. It's just what I do. Just stay on my feet. Just control that ball. Oh man. All right, let's move on to this play right here. So now we got a free kick scenario going on. And this is, I think, against Vancouver. I think it's Ryan Gauld that hits it. He's like 30 out, would you say, Dayne, about there? Like he's pretty far out there.
30.
Yeah. So it's a slight it looks like it's a slight deflection, like right off the wall. And so it's a laser. It starts going in. But you get a good quick jump on it seems like. And then again, it's another attack and meet. Recognizing where that ball's trailing, you play it over the bar here. And that's one of those situations where you do have to lay it all out.
For sure. And I think it's definitely a lot different on shots. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of the classier players in the league. And these situations can be tough too, because he could cross it from that distance, and you're trying to be in a spot where you can affect the cross as well. But someone of his quality can definitely aim for the top corner and put it there as well. So you're kind of playing that shot, but also playing the cross.
That's a great point. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about that. You can't just be assuming shot. You've got to know all the scenarios that can happen there. Most likely, I would have probably thought dangerous ball, but man, what a hit right there. Saskia, anything you want to add here?
It's just great timing on the save. You have to see where the ball's going. So you can't just automatically assume far, like behind the wall, upper 90, I'm just going to go and get a jump. So again, it's that split second that you have to hold, and then just to be able to attack it and get that tip over. It's just great. It's a great save. It's just a great save.
It's a phenomenal save. And one thing that Dayne that I really like, see, you never get Saskia to clap. Oh my gosh, Dayne. Look at that.
I'm like, it speaks for itself.
You just got Saskia to clap. This is somebody who analyzes goalkeepers for a living week in and week out. This is amazing. I want to bring up one thing I really like about it is your height. You're big. You don't drop here. I think a lot of young goalkeepers, that ball's hit and then they're going laterally, but they're dropped. You're actually at the height of the shot. And because you're tracking it at the height of the shot, you're able to attack it and meet it at its height rather than below its height.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, a rhetorical question.
Yeah, and I think having the crossbar.
I think he froze again.
Did you freeze again?
It's just a great save. It's just great movement from his position, and it's a great save.
Yeah, he even knows it. He even knows it based on the reaction right here. Look at that.
Well, that was our last regular season game of the season, so it was a big one for us for playoffs as well. So I think that was kind of part of it to keep the clean sheet that late on as well was definitely a big save for sure.
I mean, my gosh, man, talk about the pressure of that, and then a ball being hit like this, and to make that save right there, it just changes things. Dayne, if before the Wi-Fi cuts out, though, I do want to bring up, because I was trying to bring it up earlier, is I like the fact that you're tracking the ball and you're high on the ball, so you're shooting up at the ball as opposed to across at the ball, and I think that's why you make the save.
Yeah, and I think definitely my height and length play an advantage when I know I can. If I'm getting to a ball that high, it's going to be, if I touch it, it's going to go over the bar instead of having to kind of get it wide. I think with my height and my length, I know that if I'm touching it at full extension, the ball is pretty high. So any kind of touch should take it over the bar.
Dude, I love what you just said right there, Saskia. We've talked about this, about using your own strengths, whatever your own qualities are as a goalkeeper, utilizing them to the best of your ability. And I wish I had that height. I don't have that capability.
But also just keep it simple. Like, don't try to do something like, get the tip on it. Just redirect it. Like, keep it. Not that this is simple in any way, shape, or form, but don't try to do too much. All it takes is that getting a touch to it and redirect, and it's going to go over, like you said.
Absolutely. All right, let's play this clip right here. So this is a different scenario. Well, after. That's very exciting. All right, so this is against San Jose right here. This is a different type of scenario because we're talking about the 8th minute in a game. Obviously, very different than the 89th minute in a game. Shea Salinas plays a square ball to the top of the key to Christian Espinoza. He lays it off to Paul Marie, and shift by Dayne. Look at this, another amazing save. Just absolutely brilliant. Saskia, you going to clap on that one too? Look at the distance on this.
I don't need to. It's just
look at that. Unreal. Oh, man. Dayne, anything you want to add here? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think kind of you see the way he's approaching the ball, he's probably going to hit it. So it allows you to really get set and then get a good push. I think obviously he has the whole kind of goal to shoot at, but with his angle of approach and things like that, he's more times than not going to probably aim for the far post here.
Yeah, I love what you just said in regards to, like, you also recognize you're seeing those triggers and cues and you're knowing when most likely what he's going to do. You're not going to jump on it, but you have an indication that that's what he's going to do based on his body shape. Do you agree, Susk?
Yeah, I think also like young goalkeepers, if you watch this and stuff, like everybody's positioning on this has to be different. And so, with your athleticism and your strength, and even though you're at like the 3 or whatever, like you can get a paw on this, and you do, and it's a great tip. Some goalkeepers can't. Some goalkeepers might have to be a little like a step deeper. I would be in the same position and everything, considering this is at the 20. And a little off your line, but you have to know yourself as a goalkeeper and what you're positioning on this and distance, because I'd say other goalkeepers could get beat on this. Like Mike, you had gotten beat.
Oh, absolutely. I would have gotten beat.
If you were in the same position with your height, you would have gotten beat. And I'm not being rude. I'm just saying like I think you would have had to be a step back.
I would have, yeah. And I think that's the thing, understanding your capabilities. And Dayne, obviously, you how much ground you can cover in front of the bar based on your starting position. Absolutely. And, if you're a 5'9", 5'10" goalkeeper, you need to be a step back on that in order to allow yourself the time.
Yeah.
Such a great point, Susk. That's such a great point. Before all these younger goalkeepers,
they're like, this is where I need to stand when the ball's at the
because Dayne stands here.
Because Dayne stands there. Yeah, I know. Unless you have a cape or something, you probably won't get.
I think that's a great point. It's something that even at Minnesota or Team Canada we talk about. Kind of all our profiles are different, so you have to figure out what's right for you, and you can take little pieces and parts from everyone's game, but it's about what's going to apply to your game and make your game shine the most with the abilities that you have as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you just brought that up, Dayne, because I think, we all need to understand that starting positions are fluid. They're not, set in stone, like, oh, you always stand here. Like, what if you have, what if you're slightly injured, so you're not as quick off your line? Maybe
you might not have the athleticism either, because you can be the same height as Dayne, but not with the same athletic ability.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account. Can you cover that ground? Can you get yourself to something like this? You could put 10 other goalkeepers in there and you might score 7 goals in the same shot.
Yeah. I want to play this last ball here because this is a little bit of a different type of action right here. This is a different scenario. This is against Vancouver, and I think it's Gauld plays the ball out to Gressel, and the ball's played in right here. Dayne, you're shifting across, and this is a close range situation where you're attacking and meeting this ball and playing it into a good area. So let's kind of play this back right here as that ball comes in here. See how you're you're stepping and you're attacking this ball. You're not waiting for that ball right there.
Yeah, I think also too in situations like that where there's an attacker going, but with the amount of pressure, it's going to be very hard to hold on to this ball. So if you can attack it, you're going to be able to put the ball further as well. And when you attack the ball, even if you don't get great contact on it, it's probably going to still find its way outside the net versus if you're kind of passive trying to time it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then great recovery movement just to cover that space right there. So anything you want to add?
No, it's right. Like if that step into the ball is on the wrong angle, if it's too flat, and you, like I said, you can make a mess of it. And so the fact that you attacked it and still, were able to parry it out of this 18 and out of danger, it's a great play,
And I think, Dayne, this is a good point in regards to for like young goalkeepers out there who are listening, that to understand, you need to know the context of the scenario of like what's going on in that moment. Because if that ball is played differently, you might approach it differently, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah. I also think that it's the final action of the play. So we see a lot of young goalkeepers that swat at this, that, all of a sudden that ball's bouncing like at the top of the six, like in the middle of the goal, you're getting up, you're trying to scramble and everything, where the final action is, hey, might not be able to hold this, but I'm at least getting it out of danger. And your momentum through attacking the ball is allowing you to do that. If you're passive and you're allowing the ball to hit you, then that's when that ball is just going to drop and bounce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. And again, two hands, even if you only make contact with one hand, the two hands right there allows that momentum to play that ball into a great area right there. And again, just cool, calm, and collective on the tracking right there. Well, Dayne, before we finish up, and thanks for doing this on a holiday. And I know obviously we can't control Wi-Fi issues sometimes, so we'll do this again another time.
It's okay. It'll be edited. It'll be amazing.
It's going to be the longest live show to the shortest edited show.
I am going to clip that. I think that might be a clip that we post on social.
That's hilarious.
I love that. Talk a little bit about the experience about going to Qatar and how that's kind of helped, progress you to that next level as a goalkeeper. I mean, obviously you're now literally playing, in an environment with some of the world's best right there. Like how has that affected you now going into this season?
Yeah, I think having the taste of that of being there. Of course, I was the backup there, but I know obviously 2026 is a ways away. But in the same breath, it's right around the corner as well, and to be able to partake in that is definitely something I want to be a part of, and to take a more of a role on the team as well. And I know that in order to do that, it's gonna take me performing well at my club and then performing well with the national team as well. So I think it was definitely a nice experience and something I'm very proud of, but it kind of left me hungrier for more.
I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love the way you said that is hungrier for more, man. And the fact that you brought up 2026, because, hey,
Well, the truth is I'm going to sit here and I'll call out Vladko and stuff like that right now. You haven't chosen your third, we don't know who the third goalkeeper is for all intents and purposes. It's going to be Murphy and Nair. But, I think AD's out of the running, but who are you going to bring? Are you going to bring a Fallon, bring a young up and coming goalkeeper for the experience? Because 4 years from now, just like you said, Dayne, it made you hungrier and it made you get a taste of it. And now you're the young goalkeeper. You've been to a World Cup. You've gone through the experience and everything. And now you're like, well, now I want to be on the field. Yeah. So you can't keep bringing the old guard all the time. That's all I got to say.
No, I hear you. And hey, in the last World Cup, on the women's side, Kaylin Sheridan was a backup, and now, for Canada, we're expecting big things of her on the women's side here. So, that experience. So we're pulling for you. 26, St. Clair in 26. Sounds like a political campaign.
It does.
Oh my gosh. Well, Dayne, we'll start wrapping up right here, since it is a holiday. But the real last question I want to ask you, do you have any advice for any young goalkeepers who are always getting caught, mistiming balls?
One, I think it's the repetition, but also it could be the starting position. Okay, why are you mistiming? If you take a step backwards, it might give yourself a little bit more time, or if I need to attack the ball more because I'm too late on it. So I think mistiming can be early or it can be behind as well. So I think kind of trying to break down of what's leading that. Am I reacting late? Am I seeing the ball late? Is it my actual movement that isn't explosive enough? I think that there's a lot that can go into it. So it's kind of just trying to break it down, which is definitely a lot easier said than done. But I think if you can kind of take a step back and really dissect each kind of movement from the time the ball's kicked to the time the save is being made.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Saskia, anything you want to add to that?
No.
That's it. Dayne's one goalkeeping. He's one goalkeeping.
He got a clap.
I love it.
What do you need me here for?
You got a clap. Well, Dayne, thanks for taking all the time, man. I know this is a busy time of the year for you. If people want to connect with you directly, where's the best place for them to do that?
Probably Instagram or Twitter, at Saint C17, the letter C. Yeah, that's probably I'm not as good on Twitter as I am on Instagram, but
Me
I've been
too.
trying to be better. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Well, it's funny that you said that, because that's just a way just to lead into this, Dayne. If you're not great on Twitter, you can be great on the Union. It is a platform for youth athletes to engage with each other and pro players and coaches. Everyone can create their own handle for free on there. All sorts of fun stuff. You can connect with all sorts of people, and maybe even Dayne will create one. Who knows? You never know. Maybe he'll find the minute to do it. But if you want to reach out to us for a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, it's at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union Goalkeeper app, or contact at insidethe18media.com on email. All right, everybody. Remember.
Have a healthy Memorial Day. Just say
have a healthy Memorial Day, and we are out. Later, guys.
Yeah!